Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a crucial exploration, really custom tailored for you, especially if you're navigating the UPSC exams right now. We're dissecting the most significant current affairs from June 23rd, 2025. This is the first part of our daily series for today. We've gathered a stack of essential sources, and our mission, well, it's to extract those vital nuggets of knowledge and insight for you. Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to understanding the nuances behind the headlines. And, some of these topics might even feel like a valuable revision for concepts you've already encountered with us. So let's unpack this.
Indeed. Our goal isn't just to summarize. It's more about helping you connect the dots, really understand the deeper context, and grasp why these developments actually matter. Let's dive in.
Okay, so our world is constantly, navigating this delicate balance of power and, well, emerging threats. To begin, I was looking through today's headlines, and one diplomatic move stood out. India's prime minister visited Cyprus after 23 years. What makes this particular visit noteworthy for global dynamics, especially given that really long gap?
That's a keen observation. It might seem brief, but it's a significant diplomatic re-engagement. After such a long time, it definitely signals renewed strategic interest, and it strengthens ties with a nation holding a vital spot in the Eastern Mediterranean, connecting Europe, Asia, Africa. It's about rebuilding those diplomatic bridges, reaffirming relationships that might have been less active.
Right, building bridges. And speaking of delicate international balances, let's pivot from diplomacy to something with, well, profoundly serious implications. Nuclear safety and security. We've seen concerns rise recently, the IAEA revealing damage to uranium enrichment facilities in Iran. Can you break down the critical distinction between nuclear safety and nuclear security? Why does this difference matter so much?
Absolutely. It's fascinating how often these terms get mixed up. Nuclear security that deals with intentional threats. Think terrorism, sabotage, maybe unauthorized access to nuclear material. It's all about preventing malicious acts. Nuclear safety, though, that's purely about preventing accidents, like a meltdown or maybe a leak from equipment failure. The distinction is crucial because, well, the countermeasures are fundamentally different, even though both are absolutely paramount for global stability.
Okay, I see. So given these specific IAEE findings and the wider global picture, how do these incidents impact, the effectiveness of international non-proliferation efforts, especially regarding both state and non-state actors? What systems are actually in place to try and contain these risks?
Yeah, this really raises important questions about the global framework we have. The IAEA isn't just a watchdog. It's kind of the architect of the global nuclear rulebook. They oversee a whole range of crucial agreements. For the intentional threats, we have things like the Terrorist Bombings Convention covering explosive attacks, even those with radioactive materials, and the Nuclear Terrorism Convention, which criminalizes these offenses. There's also a UN Security Council resolution specifically aimed at stopping non-state actors getting hold of WMDs. And on the safety side, you've got the Convention on Nuclear Safety and the Vienna Declaration, both aiming to prevent accidents. The key takeaway is that these frameworks are designed to manage immense risk, but their effectiveness really depends on adherence and cooperation. And that's always tested by new developments like these.
The complexities aren't just limited to nuclear threats, are they? A similar kind of geopolitical tightrope is being walked in another critical region, one that impacts global trade directly, the Taiwan Strait. We've seen recent Chinese military aircraft activity near Taiwan, right after a British naval ship passed through. Beyond the headlines, what's the broader strategic significance of this strait? It's often called the Black Ditch, isn't it?
It is. And China's long-standing claim over Taiwan is well known. They haven't ruled out using force.
Yeah.
But globally speaking, the Taiwan Strait is much more than just a contested waterway. It's an incredibly narrow, vital choke point connecting the South China Sea and the East China Sea. Think of it like a global commerce superhighway.
A superhighway.
Exactly. Over 40% of the world's container fleet, carrying everything from electronics to raw materials, moves through it. Any significant disruption there would send economic shockwaves across the globe, seriously. The median line, or Davis line, running roughly down the middle. It's an unofficial boundary, sure, but its significance is constantly tested by these military maneuvers.
Right. And sticking with international agreements and these shifting global strategies, Finland's parliament recently approved withdrawal from the Ottawa Convention. That's the anti-personnel mine ban convention. And other countries like Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland have also withdrawn. Now, India isn't a signatory. Does this put India in a difficult spot diplomatically? Or are there maybe strategic reasons for holding that position, especially with its complex borders?
That's a perceptive question. The Ottawa Convention from back in 1997, it aims to end harm from anti-personnel mines, promoting global participation, mine clearance, destroying stockpiles, helping victims. And while 155 countries have joined, India, like the others you mentioned, hasn't. India's official stance has consistently been that it needs anti-personnel mines for defensive purposes.
For defensive purposes.
Yeah, particularly along its long and, frankly, complex borders. They see them as a cost-effective deterrent against infiltration. So it's less about a tricky diplomatic position and more a strategic calculation tied to national security needs, even while, supporting the spirit of mine clearance globally.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's shift focus now, closer to home, to India's domestic economic landscape. The finance minister recently stressed that fintech firms should view rural India not just as a social responsibility, but as fertile ground for creating entirely new markets. This isn't just charity talk, it's smart economics, right? How exactly can this vision actually transform rural India? What does it look like on the ground?
This is really crucial insight. India's fintech ecosystem is already the third largest globally, growing fast like 14% CAGR. Fintech, financial technology, it fundamentally uses tech for financial services. Digital payments, alternative lending, insurtech, wealth tech, even AI-driven enabling tech. This isn't just about better access, it's about fundamentally re-architecting rural economies. Imagine a farmer, maybe previously starved for credit, now able to get microloans based on alternative data, like satellite images of his crop yield, or even just his transaction history at local shops.
Wow, really?
Yeah, this unlocks capital for modern farming techniques, boosting productivity, creating this self-sustaining growth cycle that was, well, pretty unimaginable before.
That sounds incredibly promising on paper, truly transformative. But I can't help wondering about the practical side. Are there specific areas where this transformation is hitting, roadblocks, maybe due to ingrained habits or cultural things beyond just the digital divide?
Oh, challenges definitely remain. And they're significant. The digital divide is huge, affecting both internet connectivity and digital literacy, especially for women and marginalized groups. But you're right, it's more than just infrastructure. There's often a deep-seated mistrust of digital solutions, maybe unfamiliarity, fear of cyber fraud, or just a strong preference for cash transactions. Plus, geographic barriers, the sheer lack of traditional banking infrastructure in remote areas, that makes outreach really tough. So while the promise is immense, overcoming these human and logistical hurdles needs sustained effort, tailored solutions.
Right, tailored solutions. And connecting to this theme of financial inclusion and using existing networks, the India Post Payments Bank, IPPB, just got the 2024-25 Digital Payments Award from the Ministry of Finance. What's the strategic importance of IPPB here? How does it help bridge this digital divide and fit into India's broader financial inclusion goals?
This award really highlights IPPB's pivotal role. It's 100% government-owned under the Department of Posts, and its significance. It leverages India's massive network of 1.55 lakh post offices. Think about it. Those post offices reach literally every corner of the country. They act as a crucial physical touch point for digital services.
Ah, the physical touch point, I see.
Exactly. Payments banks offer basic services deposits up to 2 lakh, withdrawals, money transfers. The key distinction, for your understanding, is they cannot give loans or issue credit cards. They focus instead on accessible, low-cost digital transactions, which is precisely what's needed for deeper financial inclusion in rural areas.
Okay. Another economic tool India is using, anti-dumping duty. India recently imposed 5-year duties on imports of Chinese aluminum foil, pretilachlor, and acetonitrol from China, Russia, and Taiwan. How exactly do these duties work? And what are the maybe trade-offs or potential economic consequences of using a measure like this?
Right, anti-dumping. Think of dumping like this. A foreign company tries to flood a market by selling its products there at incredibly low prices, sometimes even below what it cost them to make it.
Predatory pricing, essentially.
Pretty much. Anti-dumping duties are the target country's way of putting a fair play tariff on those unfairly cheap imports. It levels the playing field for their own domestic businesses. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, ATT, actually allows countries to take action against this. The trade-off, though, while it protects domestic industries and jobs, can also mean higher prices for consumers or even retaliatory tariffs from other countries. So it potentially impacts free trade. It's always a balancing act.
A balancing act. Got it. And on the, bleeding edge of finance, the U.S. Senate recently passed the Genius Act, giving a major boost to stablecoins. Beyond just being stable, what makes them so transformative? How do they bridge traditional finance and the whole crypto ecosystem?
Stablecoins are, a fascinating development. They're a type of crypto asset, but they're tied to the value of another more stable asset like the US dollar or even gold. Unlike super volatile cryptos like Bitcoin, they aim to minimize those wild price fluctuations.
Hmm.
What makes them transformative is their potential to act as this seamless, efficient bridge between worlds.
It's a bridge.
Exactly. They offer the speed and low cost of crypto transactions without the crazy price swings. That makes them ideal for everyday payments, international remittances, even as a secure store of value within the crystal world. They bring a sense of predictability, really, to a pretty volatile digital frontier.
Predictability in crypto. Interesting. Okay, let's talk public health now. A major step forward here. The U.S. FDA has approved a new HIV prevention drug, lenacapavir. This is big news, but how does this new drug fit into the existing arsenal for HIV prevention? What are the implications globally, especially for a country like India?
This is genuinely big news in the global fight against HIV, yes. Lenacapavir is an antiretroviral medicine. It's used for HIV prevention as pre-exposure prophylaxis, or PEP. PEP is basically medication that significantly cuts the risk of HIV infection for HIV-negative individuals who are at risk. The WHO already recommends oral PEP, the dapivirine vaginal ring, and long-acting injectable cabotegravir. So lenacapavir expands the options, particularly for long-acting prevention. That could be a game changer for adherence, making sure people stick with it and reaching more people, especially in high-burden settings.
That's a crucial point, adherence and reach. Given India's significant population living with HIV and its, well, pretty robust existing programs, how might a new long-acting option like lenacapavir integrate into India's national AIDS control program? What challenges or opportunities does it present for hitting those ambitious targets?
Right. So HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, it attacks the body's immune system, destroying CD4 cells, spreads through specific body fluids, and also mother-to-baby transmission. There's no cure, but it can be effectively prevented and treated with antiretroviral therapy, ART, which stops it progressing to AIDS. The HIV Estimations 2023 report, it shows over 2.5 million people living with HIV in India. India's initiatives are indeed robust. The National AIDS Control Program, Phase V, running 2021-26, aims for an 80% cut in new infections. That aligns with the very ambitious 95-95-95 target.
95-95-95. Remind us.
Sure. 95% of HIV-positive individuals knowing their status, 95% of those diagnosed getting treatment, and 95% of those on treatment achieving viral suppression. A long-acting option like lenacapavir could significantly boost adherence, especially for vulnerable groups. It reduces the burden of daily pills. So yeah, it could be a powerful tool for India to meet its goal, ending HIV/AIDS as a public health threat by 2030.
Okay, shifting gears completely now to the planet itself. A study from Utrecht University warns that a potential collapse of the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, the AMOC, could cause severe cooling in northern Europe. This sounds like something out of a disaster movie. What exactly is the AMOC? Why is this global conveyor belt so critical?
It sounds dramatic because, well, it is a dramatic possibility. The AMOC is this critical system of ocean currents circulating water in the Atlantic. It brings warm, salty water north and cold, dense water south. It's powered by basic physics, differences in temperature and salinity. Warm surface water moves poleward, it cools. Sea ice forms, leaving salt behind, making the water denser. This denser water sinks, flows south deep down, and eventually rises again through upwelling, warming up, restarting the cycle. It's part of a much larger global system, constantly exchanging heat, moisture, nutrients across all the oceans. The real insight here isn't just that it's slowing, but that this global conveyor belt might be a climate tipping point, meaning subtle changes could trigger huge sudden shifts in global weather.
A tipping point. So it's not just regional weather, it's a fundamental global climate regulator. If even a slight weakening has these big consequences, is there a point of no return scientists worry about, or can we still intervene effectively to stop a full collapse? What specific global consequences might we see?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's heavily debated. Even a slight slowdown can cool Europe, change rainfall patterns in parts of Europe, South America, Africa. It could mess with the timing of the Indian monsoon, shift the tropical rain belt south, possibly causing droughts in the African Sahel. Beyond climate, it threatens ocean life. Fewer nutrients reaching surface waters harms marine food chains. While a full collapse is still debated among scientists, its current weakening is definitely worrying. It just highlights how interconnected our climate systems are. Seemingly distant things can have global effects.
Sobering stuff. Okay, from global systems to specific local conservation, 7 gharial yearlings were recently released into the Gurwa River at Katarniagat Wildlife Sanctuary in UP. Fantastic news for a critically endangered species. But what makes the gharials so unique, and why are these incredible creatures so vulnerable?
Ah, gharials. They get their name from the gara, that pot-like knob on the male's snout. It makes them the only visibly sexually dimorphic crocodilian. You can actually tell males and females apart just by looking at their noses.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they're primarily piscivorous fish eaters. They use that long, thin snout and sharp teeth to hunt really effectively. Their vulnerability. It mostly stems from habitat loss and degradation. Their river habitats get severely impacted by dams, barrages, water extraction. These turn flowing rivers into unsuitable lakes, reduce downstream flow, which gharials need. They're mainly found at just 3 Ganga tributaries now, Chambal and Girwa in India, Rapti and Ariani in Nepal, but conservation status is dire. Critically endangered by IUCN, Schedule 1st of India's Wildlife Protection Act. It really highlights that direct link between human development and the survival of such a unique species.
Critically endangered. Okay. And now for a fascinating science nugget. A new study reveals line 1, a jumping gene, binds to cellular DNA during brief periods of cell division. Jumping genes? Sounds like sci-fi. Can you explain what these are and why they're significant?
It does sound like sci-fi. And it's startling to think our own genetic code is full of these little jumpers. Jumping genes, or transposable elements, are these intriguing DNA sequences that can actually move from one spot to another on the genome. In doing so, they can significantly affect how genes are expressed. They might physically cut and paste themselves or copy themselves to new spots. This can cause mutations, alter the total amount of DNA. What's truly remarkable, though, is they aren't just random genetic noise. They're believed to have played a major role in our evolution, accounting for over half of the human genome, shaping us in ways we're only just starting to understand.
Over half. Wow. Okay, from cutting-edge science, let's step back in time. We often think of space events as modern things, right? But new discoveries show ancient Indians were tracking them too, like this amazing historical reference to Halley's Comet found in a copper plate inscription at the Srisailam Mallikarjunaswamy Temple in Andhra Pradesh. What does this tell us?
This is a rare historical gem, absolutely. The inscription, dated 1456 CE, is in Sanskrit Nagari script. It meticulously records a grant made by the Vijayanagar ruler Mallikarjuna to a Vedic scholar. The temple itself, Mallikarjuna Swami in Srisailam, Andhra Pradesh, on the Nalamalai Hills by the Krishna River. It's unique. It's both a Jyotirlinga for Lord Shiva and a Shakti Pitha for Goddess Parvati, patronized by Satavahanas, Rashtrakutas, Vijayanagari dynasties. The reference to Halley's Comet, it tells us sophisticated astronomical observation and careful record-keeping were definitely part of ancient Indian scholarship, connecting celestial events to earthly records. It gives us a real window into their scientific acumen.
A window into the past. Fantastic. Okay, let's unpack India's push for better logistics and infrastructure. The 5th edition of the National Time Release Study, NTRS, shows faster import clearance at ports. This seems specific, but what are the broader implications for India's global trade position and its Make in India goals?
Right, the NTRS. It's prepared by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIC. It basically measures how fast goods get cleared at ports, land, sea, air, directly boosting India's logistics efficiency. They've done it annually since 2019, across 15 major spots. It's actually recommended by the World Customs Organization. The key findings for 2023-2025 show good progress. Average release times down 6 hours at seaports, 5 hours at air cargo complexes, and significantly, down 18 hours at ICPs, the checkposts.
18 hours is a lot.
It is. Though inland container depots, ICDs, saw an increase of 12 hours. This matters hugely because lower logistics costs make Indian products globally competitive, supports trade, cuts business costs, connects industries globally, crucial for Make in India, and it employs over 22 million people. India ranked 38th out of 139 in the 2023 World Bank Logistics Performance Index. That's up from 44th in 2018. The goal for 2030 is ambitious. Top 25 nations, logistics costs under 10% of GDP.
That's a significant improvement, yes, but that challenge with ICDs is notable. What key policy steps has India taken to get this far? And what might be the remaining bottlenecks for such a vital sector?
Yes, significant steps have been taken. Dedicated freight corridors, DFCs, they've already cut transit times 20, 30%, 96% operational now. The e-way bill under GST, ease tracking, cut road delays. The National Logistic Policy from 2022 aims to cut costs from maybe 13, 14% down to 8, 9% of GDP. And the National Trade Facilitation Action Plan, NTFE 3.0 for 2024-27, launched by CBIC, specifically focuses on cutting cargo release times, aligning with the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement. As for bottlenecks, that ICD increase suggests challenges maybe in last-mile connectivity, digital integration across all points, perhaps infrastructure limits at specific inland spots. Those are likely the new focus areas for improvement.
Makes sense. Okay, another area where India is making leaps, privatizing its space sector. Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, HAL, won an ISRO bid to build small satellite launch vehicles, SSLVs. This is a big shift. How exactly is India fostering this private growth in what was, traditionally government turf? And what opportunities or challenges does this open up?
This is a genuinely significant step towards getting more private players involved. The SSLV. It's a three-stage solid propulsion rocket designed specifically for launching smaller satellites under 500 kilograms into a 500-kilometer planar orbit. It's meant to be low-cost, quick turnaround time, flexible for launching multiple satellites at once. Under this tech transfer, HAL will make at least 2 SSLVs end-to-end. India is fostering this growth through a whole suite of initiatives. Big liberalization of the space sector allows private firms to do end-to-end activities now. 100% FDI is allowed. In space, the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center promotes and supervises non-governmental space stuff. The Indian Space Policy 2023 gives crucial regulatory clarity. And there's a dedicated 1,000 crore venture capital fund approved to boost private investment.
So you're seeing results already.
Absolutely. Private players like Vikram S, India's first privately built rocket, IIT Madras incubated Agnikul Cosmos, they test launched the world's first rocket with a single-piece 3D printed engine. Over 200 space startups are active. ISRO and InSpace Ansel have transferred like 478 technologies to private players. This opens up huge commercial opportunities, makes India a more attractive global space partner. But yeah, it also challenges ISRO to shift its role maybe more towards being a facilitator and regulator, less the sole developer.
Interesting shift. Okay, finally, let's touch on air quality management in our cities. From July 2025, the Commission for Air Quality Management, CAQM, will ban fuel refills for end-of-life vehicles in Delhi to cut pollution. That's a strong measure. What gives CAQM such far-reaching authority, and what challenges might pop up when enforcing such a ban in a place like Delhi?
It is a strong and arguably necessary measure. The CAQM was set up under the CAQM Act 2021. It covers the National Capital Region, NCR, and adjoining areas Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, UP. Its whole objective is better coordination, research, problem-solving for air pollution. The chairperson needs significant experience. And critically, TAQM's orders actually override state governments, CPCB, state PCBs, other bodies if there's a conflict. That gives it considerable teeth.
So they have real power then?
They do. Challenges in enforcement. Likely public resistance due to inconvenience, the sheer number of vehicles needing scrapping or transitioning, ensuring enough alternative transport or fuel infrastructure. Yeah. It's a bold step, no doubt, but it really highlights the urgency of tackling Delhi's air pollution crisis.
We've certainly covered a lot today, navigated a remarkable array of topics, from nuclear security to space privatization, from the deep ocean currents right to the cutting edge of public health. Hopefully this deep dive has given you a more nuanced understanding of these critical current affairs.
And remember, especially for your preparation, it's not just about knowing the facts. It's about understanding the connections, the implications, the mechanisms underneath. Each of these stories, they're interconnected. They paint this comprehensive picture of India's evolving role in a pretty complex, dynamic world.
So what new insight really resonated with you from today's deep dive? What connections did you perhaps make between these seemingly separate topics? Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and definitely keep digging deeper into the information that shapes our world. If you found this deep dive valuable, please do make sure to like and subscribe. It helps you stay well informed with us every single day. We'll be back soon with more insights. Until then, keep learning.